The Spirituality Now podcast is sponsored by Delaflor Teachings International, a spiritual and systemic coaching and consulting company with the mission to help individuals, businesses, and corporations create brilliant futures through sustainable transformation. Also sponsored by the Network for Human Empowerment, a philanthropic TV network that serves Spanish-speaking communities with free, conscious education aimed to empower individuals to become the best versions of themselves. And our podcast producer, Ascend Media, Authority Syndication, delivering premium video marketing, podcast production, and social syndication.
Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, a podcast committed to supporting you in your journey to life mastery and personal enlightenment. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, formerly known as Sovereign Futures podcast. Eventually, I will stop saying the formerly known, but some people still listen to us expecting to hear the word Sovereign Futures, which really Spirituality Now still is that pursuit to keep building sovereignty in our futures, to keep creating a reality, designing, architecting what we do want in life, instead of just being at the, in the hands of fate without using our fate to take action. Today I think today is going to be really fun, empowering, moving, powerful, and fate-oriented, because my guest today is one of the very few people I know in the world that understands the word faith, Faith, and understands the word action to ignite faith. And she's totally a faithful soul, powerful businesswoman, powerful mother. But in a moment, I will introduce you to her, and I hope you have fun as much as I know I will, because I know her and I so admire her for all that she has achieved in her life. But before that, the Sovereign Futures podcast, the former Sovereign Futures podcast, as I shared, has changed into Spirituality Now podcast. The reason why is because in the years to come, I'm launching my new book next year. I'm just proceeding for public speaking based in alignment with this name, to be more present in the moment, to take our faith into action. And from the now, build the futures we do want to create, especially with the situations in the world right now. So as I'm turning 50, believe it or not, I'm going to turn 50 in December. Hope you listen to this podcast before my birthday, and you will. It's my services have been more refined. My wants in life have been less and less and less. And my desire to be of more clear service to the path of fulfillment and help others get that path of fulfillment is far much more important than getting something, that achieving something. And so I'm aligning with all of that. Hence, our branding is changing. A couple of shout outs. I want to send that shout out to Ascend Media, our producer. They use their incredible team to make me look good, to any audio glitches that we have, any editing the podcast needs. They contribute that to our podcast. They actually are the producers of this. We're a nonprofit podcast, and we're philanthropic based. Until now, I'm not close-minded on the possibility that if any moment we're required to do it differently, I will. So I don't want it to sound like all la la land, but right now it's philanthropic. The company that produces the podcast is my company, Delaflor Teachings International, a spiritual and systemic coaching, consulting, and mentorship company. And we've been moving into arenas of business. We may be moving into arenas of very specialized trainings for systemic work, family constellations, trauma integration, and futuring design for companies, individuals, school systems, now that the world needs it the most. So we are philanthropic, we are nonprofit for now, and these are the people that I wanted to give a shout out. In a way, I'm giving a shout out to myself, right? But it's nice to give shout out to others as well. Anyways, enough with me. We're about to enter into a journey, a conversation of faith, God, and money. That's right. We have in the show today best-selling author, radio show host, entrepreneur, mother, incredible businesswoman. And when I'm telling you businesswoman, is she has a story that, if you have excuses after you hear her talk, I'm not sure if you would really listen to the podcast. She is the embodiment of making things happen. She's the embodiment of pursue. She's the embodiment of hard work, and she's truly an incredible mother too. Stephanie Synclair. She is focused of empowering women and actually an individual that allows herself to be empowered through the teachings that she embodies to step into their biggest selves, always next level of embodiment, to stop playing small and say yes to their true desires in life. Over the last 8 years, Stephanie Synclair has built an extremely successful consulting firm that works specifically with women entrepreneurs to build a strong following that are excited about saying yes about their programs, products, and services. Stephanie has self-published 3 best-selling Amazon books, which have all top various bestseller categories on Amazon, including self-help, marketing, women in business, and entrepreneurship. With followers in countries around the world, Stephanie has waiting lists for months long for her programs, products, and services. And she just a year ago or something, I'll ask her about it, went into the business of tea, which makes me so excited because I've been a practitioner of something called Cha Dao, of a practice called Cha Dao, the art of tea, the flow of tea, meditation through tea, for more than 20 years. And she's now an incredible business person regarding tea. So we'll ask her about it. Stephanie's biggest hit has been on her books, has been the Shut Up and Do the Work, the Entrepreneurial's Guide to Creating Massive Success, which has been featured in the Huffington Post, CNBC, Harper's Bazaar, and Forbes. With a social reach of over 50,000, probably more now, covering social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Stephanie's influence is vast as she inspires regularly with bold thoughts. She's really bold, and I love her for that. Bold thoughts, statements, and truths that create massive impacts in the lives of anyone that really pays attention to what she's freely sharing most of the time. All her media is free, everybody. So you can follow Stephanie on her Facebook. We'll put all her links here on Instagram as Stephanie Synclair, and stay up to date with happenings with Stephanie and a program she has called House of Icons. I don't know if she still has that website, but we'll put all her information in a moment. And we're just going to welcome this incredible soul, my beloved friend, Stephanie Synclair. Welcome.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, and let's start, you are such an empowered embodiment soul, and just so God connected and so spiritually aligned. Let's begin. I know that a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are in Latin America. They speak English. We used to do this podcast English and Spanish, but our audience actually were the Latin American niche that actually they all spoke English. And it was Latin America that requested, hey, Yvonne, can you just keep it in English? I was like, wow, okay. So the people that are listening to you in Latin America, they may not know your story. Can you tell us what started you in the journey of entrepreneurship?
It's interesting because I was not one of those people who grew up necessarily thinking I am going to be an entrepreneur, but I do remember in high school, skipping school, the thing we're not supposed to do, and going to the library and reading biographies of really successful entrepreneurs and feeling like there was an increased capacity for me to be really successful, but I still didn't see entrepreneurship as a thing in my future. I didn't know any entrepreneurs in real life. It just didn't feel like anything that was for me. And when my son was 1, I worked for a company. And long story short, he would have like ear infections and colds and different things like that when he was a baby. And the company was so strict about not leaving to pick your child up and things of that nature. I really felt forced into entrepreneurship. I felt forced into doing something that would allow me to stay home more. And so for me, entrepreneurship came out of need to be more present as a mother. That's how it actually began. It wasn't that I dreamt of being an entrepreneur. It was never that.
Wow.
Turns out I'm great at it.
I told you this podcast is not going to be boring. Well, I love Stephanie. I'm not intending to interrupt you, but you are the first person I've heard that I was forced into entrepreneurship. Man, God has its ways, right? To call our attention. And then your why here was to be more present as a mother.
Yes. Which is so interesting, though. Let me tell you the interesting thing about that, because the first few years of entrepreneurship, I might have been present physically, but, and entrepreneurship, it probably takes way more energy, but I was there and able to be with my son. And if, he needed to be picked up from daycare, I could do that. And that was really important to me. I didn't want anyone to be able to say I couldn't. But I always tell people, if that wasn't the story, if there was a job career that I could have had with a corner office that was accepting of the fact as a single mother, I might need to leave and pick my son up. I don't know if you guys would know who I am. I would absolutely have worked for a corporation and built someone else's company.
I love that, so you will do whatever it took, right, to uphold. I love that. I love that you have like your value very clear. So tell me, one of the stories that I love the most of yours, and I don't know if you want to go there, and you are welcome to say no to me publicly, but tell them, like, I know that many people that I have interviewed in the podcast, they used to live in their cars. Some of them, they used to live in a bench in a park. And they built incredible businesses. And we'll talk about all the things you built and how you have helped people embody and the challenges you face. But tell them a little bit about how, because your story is a story of you took your faith into action. You believed in yourself. You believed in God, in your voice, your sound, the confidence you have. I call it Godfidence, in God, in belief. So how was it from nothing to know inside of you that you could have it all, that you could have everything? Tell us a little bit about it. Tell people what happened.
Yeah. So a little bit of my story is when I decided to leave corporate America. Unfortunately, I did not have a plan, nor did I have money. I didn't have any money saved. I may have had probably $4,000 in retirement. I think it's 401k. I had it in retirement. And so I took that money to get a place, pay my rent up for a few months, and then I quote unquote had faith. And that's before I knew what faith was, okay? My life has taught me what faith is, and I really do feel like I am faith in action. You can see faith when you look at Stephanie's life. But at the time, I was one of those people, like a lot of people who thought faith was like, I know something's going to come through, and you just sit and wait. And so I took the $4,000, I paid rent up for a few months, and I waited, and nothing happened. And I ended up being evicted, and I ended up getting my car repossessed, and I ended up staying in a hotel. And I don't know if I've ever even told that part of the story of me staying in a hotel for a few weeks. I lived in a hotel for a few weeks. Yeah.
You told it to me. I love that. I have a vision of that. There is a saying that to have it all, first you must lose it all. And in spirituality is so true. For example, for the concept of enlightenment, of personal illumination, for self-realization, if you don't lose what you think you are, you got to be empty, right? Like Bruce Lee used to say, empty your mind, be formless, empty, like, so that the water can form you. I have not seen anyone that has created from the unmanifest to the manifest like you, or any one of us that have had so much hardship, that to not lose it all before we're